What is up, RotoGrinders? Dean here, Dean7904. That is the Daily Fantasy handle. Joined today by Blender, Jordan, Blender HD. Invading on your time, invading on your turf, Jordan. This is typically when you're doing your 11 o'clock show. So, yeah, we're a little bit late on that, but of course we're early as far as talking baseball today. There are two slates today, depending on where you're shopping. I guess the main slate for Fanduel is the late night slate. Of course, you can play on Fanduel today during the day as well. DK's main slate is the early slate. It's the one that starts about an hour and a half or so. We're jumping on, talking the 4-game main slate. Crunch Time crew, you all get Derek Carty. You get Dave Potts. You get chief mineralogist Kevin Roth jumping in for Crunch Time about an hour-ish or so. And they're going to touch on, I think they're going to touch on the later slate as well, in addition to knocking out your questions regarding this early 4 o'clock slate. Jordan, well, you're always up this early. Thankfully, I popped up like 9 o'clock this morning, which is not out of my element typically. Usually I sleep in a little bit. But I was up early enough to get the message that we're knocking out this show, this 4-gamer. And I'm glad I woke up for 53% Ranger Suarez and 43% Lucas Giolito and 40% Erod. It's a 4-gamer, man, and it's ugly. It's brutal. We gotta put some lipstick on this pig, man. Get excited. How you feeling?
Well, I wasn't planning on playing baseball today, but I am, and I'm also on the schedule. I'm also it's going to be me and you for the last day of the season next Wednesday. No. So I'll be playing that slate as well. I don't really mind the slate that much, only because it's a 4-game slate, and game theory will matter a lot more. So I'm giving you the permission, Dean. Dean, I'm hereby granting you the permission. This is me granting it. Little.
I don't need it. I know where you're going with this. I don't need it. I already whatever.
Right. I'm giving you official permission to play a batter against your pitcher.
Yeah, of course. Like you almost should go out of your way to play a batter against your pitcher.
I'm not doing it, but I'm allowing you to.
What do you mean you're not doing it? You're
perfectly fine.
You're putting in a rule that says you can't, like you won't?
No, because there's still plenty of ways to. I'm playing the large field contest. Large field contest today on DraftKings, I think only has 6,500 entries. I believe. Let me take a look. Let me just make sure. I'm playing 10 entries into that. Yeah, 6,500.
I got 4 in there just because. Yeah.
So even then, I don't think I'll run into duplication issues. I'm not necessarily playing 5-3 and then leaving a salary of I have to spend 49.5 because then you may run in. You're gonna end up playing. You're gonna end up playing Boston and Philadelphia. You're gonna play Harper and Devers and all these guys. And then now you're starting to get into duplication territory. But if you're going to play something like a 4-2-1-1 or even 5 with just 3 1-offs or something like that, you could you don't have to worry. You have enough people to choose from that you don't have to worry that much about being duped. I mean, I know how I'm getting different on this slate, and the way that I'm getting different is going to lead to less people having those lineups.
What's up, chat? Thank you for waking up with us. Thank you for still grinding baseball. Well, 1 week left. By the way, that Wednesday slate, I haven't, I'm wondering how the slates are going to deal with it. And maybe the times are going to change. They're all kind of flexible. I think they make it flexible times in case there's any kind of drama on the last day of the season. Spoiler alert, there isn't. You might get some drama for the Mets and the Braves still battling for a division, but otherwise, all the drama's been sucked out. There's nothing going on. But
there's always drama in DFS contests, though.
Yes.
What does it matter?
But
to me, that's the drama every day. Dean, in DFS, every day there's drama. It doesn't matter, right? Because I'm just rooting for my lineup. So every day there's a different drama.
Well, I'm thinking baseball was trying to manufacture drama on day 162, and I'm pretty sure every team was scheduled for 3 o'clock, right? I think every team is a 3 o'clock schedule, a 4 o'clock schedule, but I'm guessing there was some built-in flexibility as far as the times. You said you looked at the schedule. Well, what time we scheduled for? 2 o'clock?
I have no idea. It says me and you.
Okay. Yeah.
5 o'clock, but I don't know. It says check slate, so that means
I think those times might change. In chat, could be Travis says, "Oh, we get to have Blender yelling at Dean. I love it." So this is is that on the schedule as well too? Blender yells at Dean. It just says that's implied.
I think we're the most popular combination.
People, this is why First Take gets the ratings, right? People like just 2 people yelling at each other, and screaming their points, and I don't know. I'm guessing First Take does well. Do you watch the First Take? Are you a fan of Stephen A?
When's the last time I watched ESPN? I don't know.
For a non-sporting event?
No, why am I watching any of that?
I
don't even watch the games,
the
Dean. I don't even watch the games. Why am I watching the commentators on early morning the takes on the game? I don't even watch the games.
You're not a big fan of the ESPYs?
The ESPYs. I'm not a fan of any. I used to watch when I was younger. I used to watch like Sports Center like nonstop. Like,
oh yeah, well that's the thing. Back in the day when you didn't have the internet, and I mean, you'd be excited about the scroll on the bottom. But yeah, who was your guy? Was it Olbermann? Was it Patrick? Was it Kenny Mayne? Who was Stuart Scott? Who was your person?
Kilborn.
Kilborn, yeah. Kilborn was
solid.
I
mean, during the Sports Center period where it was like half a highlight show and half seeing what the stupid things they're going to say during highlights and stuff like that. So obviously Olbermann and Patrick are the most known, that combination, the big show combination. But all of them were pretty good.
Yeah, they were collectively, it was a very good group. Charlie Steiner, sneaky good. It's a good collection, but obviously, times have changed, media has changed, and I don't need to tune in the Sports Center to see like who homered and who did well and that kind of stuff. Unfortunately, that's I guess sport depending on, right? We can glamorize it and be nostalgic for it, but it's also kind of cool to know immediately when Aaron Judge homered within a minute, like not even a minute. Oh, everybody knows he hit a home run last night. Was doing the football show last night, and that just sort of popped up. I don't know who he did it against. I didn't get a chance to watch it. Just kind of saw it. But congratulations to Judge hitting number 61. I know you're excited about such things. You don't care about that, do you?
What, that he tied the 7th highest home run total in the season?
Well, it's the American League record, but yeah. Well, it's not 7th. Come on, it's not 7th, is it?
I think it's 7th, right? 5th, something. I don't know.
Well, McGuire and Sosa and Bonds are all National League. I thought that Maris was number 1 in the American League. I could be wrong.
Yeah, no, he was. Yeah, it's the American League record. Yes.
Okay.
That is true. Yeah, I'm more excited to see if Aaron Judge is going to win the Triple Crown.
You know what? I didn't even know that was a thing. Is he? How close is that?
I don't know. I like I say, I don't watch Sports Center. I don't.
You're not excited. I knew he was like. You just made your manufacturing excitement. You don't even know.
No. I believe I saw on Twitter like last week he was like 1st in batting average, 1st in home runs, and like 2nd in RBI. Something. He's
not leading in batting average. I don't think.
Well, that's technically the Triple Crown. I know the statistic doesn't matter. I know. I get it. But a Triple Crown winner, we haven't had one in what? 50 years?
Oh, you know what? He's actually leading the American League. He's 4th in baseball. Who cares about batting average? But would you care to guess? Guess who's leading
batting average is what? Like his batting average, I think, is what, like 310 or something?
It's 313, and that's funny. It's the 4th highest in baseball, but it's number 1 in the American League. So, okay, he might actually have a chance to Triple Crown. Nobody's been talking about that. Obviously, he's at the homers.
Someone's talking about it. How else did I find out about it? I'm not the one to manufacture.
One person on. Yeah, like he's got it. It's like a lock. He's up by, well, not a lock as far as batting average, but he's up by 11 in RBIs. Of course, home runs, he's up by like 20, whatever it is. Batting average in the American League, he is number 1. Oh, Luis Ariz is tied at 313. Oh, Luis Ariz, pesky Luis Ariz is going to beat him. Man.
Well, the walks do help. I mean, Judge getting walked all the time is helping him because it doesn't count as a plate appearance. So at least it's not an out.
Yeah, well, it does. Yeah, it doesn't help you. It doesn't hurt you. According to Slick in the chat, MLB Network's been talking about it, but I'm going to venture a guess and say you do not watch the MLB Network.
No, but I saw like how media has changed. Instead of watching Sports Center, I still have my Twitter timeline that anything important that happens. So I still follow the major baseball reporters and everything like that because I play DFS. So I know that Lonzo Ball is probably going to be out for the season.
Yeah, that's a bummer.
I don't watch Sports Center. I don't even watch basketball yet. I saw that this morning. So
basketball is the one sport you should be watching, man. Basketball, it's fun.
No, it's the worst sport, Dean. It's the worst sport.
The last 5 minutes, you miss nothing because the game's
tied.
Right,
there you go. Right. What's the point?
I know you're going to give me that argument, but it's just fun. It's
for what? 2-0. Great.
You're somebody, and again, I'm not here to besmirch soccer. I'm on team soccer. I like soccer, but if there's one sport, you can only save one sport from falling off the cliff. You would save soccer, which is like, there are arguments against watching, soccer when, like, speaking of missing nothing, what's the score? 0-0. It's the 88th minute.
Yeah, but you could say that about baseball games. You could say that about a lot of
sometimes, but it's also 10-10 sometimes. It's never 10-10
yeah, but the
in
most
soccer.
important thing in the game may happen at any time. That 7 weeks from now, the World Cup's coming up. I'm gonna be occupied with the World Cup. And
you going to go to Qatar?
Not?
Are you going to Qatar?
Yeah, no, I'm not going to Qatar. No, I'm not.
Is it like 120 or what's the degrees out there? It's something insane, right?
Well, that's why they're doing it. This is the first time the World Cup is not held during the summer, because during the summer it's like 120 degrees there. So now it's only going to be like 98 there when the games, which is still ridiculous. The only issue is the times, because playing DFS, I'm going to have to get up at like 6 in the morning, like every day.
Is the U.S. in the group of death? I don't remember. I feel like we had the drawing. Yeah, I don't remember.
Anytime they say there's a group of death, it doesn't necessarily. Oh, this looks like the group of death, and then it turns out to be another group that's a lot more competitive.
The AFC West was supposed to be the group of death.
Oh, that ain't going to be that this year,
which hasn't really happened just yet. Yeah. I love the World Cup. Is awesome. I'm looking forward to that. I guess the time change can be kind of funky. That was it came out that whole thing was political and payoff, and as far as FIFA and Qatar, like there's no way they should have won that.
I mean, it's still all allegations, but we all know.
I mean, come on, yeah, and it's a mess. Apparently there's not a lot of places, like they don't have places for people to live and sleep. I was kind of looking. I didn't realize it was only 7 weeks away. Wow, that should be fun. Looking forward to it. Is there a DFS World Cup? Or it's got to be, right?
Of course there is. It's the biggest soccer contest during the World Cup.
Tony in chat, yes, Crunch Time is next. You guys get Carty. Y'all get Dave Potts as well. I promise you we're going to talk this 4-game slate. We're going to get to it. If you guys have any questions, feel free. Fire them off. Kindly hit that like button, subscribe, turn on those notifications, or as Blender would say, give me those thummy thumbs. How do I do it, Blender? Is that right?
Just give me the thummy thumbs.
And they got to hit the thumb to keep your coffee warm. Is that the gimmick?
No, that it used to be when I drank coffee, but I don't drink coffee. Well, actually, technically, I'm actually having one of these vanilla frappuccino things.
Oh, okay.
I have these every once in a while.
Like a Starbucks deal or a Dunkin' Donuts?
Yeah. You get them from the grocery store, right? In a little 4-pack or whatever. A little caffeine in the morning, right? Yeah. And it used to be that you kept my coffee warm with the thummy thumbs. But
how does that work?
Then I drank apple juice for a long time, and you had to hit it so I could keep my apple juice cold. So basically, I try to just work in any type of really grade school level incentives on getting engagement on the video, because it helps us in the YouTube algorithm.
What's the new gimmick now? If you're not drinking apple juice and you're not drinking coffee, what's the gimmick?
Maybe I don't care about it anymore now. Now there's no gimmick. There's no nothing. Whatever. Help us out. Fine. There you go.
Either they're going to do it or they're not. They don't care.
Legally obligated pitch to hit the thumbs up button.
We have every lineup today, with the exception of the Cubbies, for what it's worth. Philadelphia just came out a few minutes ago. I feel like they're going to be one of the more popular lineups, if anything, by default. Javier Assad, Neil before Assad. You're going to get to Bryce Harper, Kyle Schwarber, probably the two biggest bats. Two of the bigger bats on this slate. Team total almost at 5. Boston's got a team total creeping up on 5, but those are the two highest team totals on the board. 4.68 for Boston, if you want to get all technical, according to our lineups page. And we have 4.7 for Philly. Not great weather in Chicago. Not great weather really anywhere, if we're being honest. Firing up the chief mineralogist Kevin Roth, the Weather Edge tool. We got a 31% decrease in expected homers, or at least in 106 previous games in Chicago with this particular weather. 61 degrees, wind blowing in from right field at 6 miles per hour. 14% decrease in runs.
Dean, you have to remind me when the Crunch Time crew comes in. I have a question for Kevin Roth.
Okay, is it weather related?
I want to ask him, because with the hurricane stuff.
Yeah,
like a lot of times my default, like I leave my TV on in the living room, and I leave it on like a news channel. I typically have it on like CNN or something like that, just to have something on the TV.
Okay.
So like anytime I would pass by in the living room, there's always like some schmucky meteorologist in the middle of the hurricane, and I wanted to ask Roth, like,
if he's ever been stuck doing that.
Well, not even if him, like, who's the type of, like is it, do you guys, like, go in and, like, draw straws and be like, you're going to be the schmuck today?
Well, somebody likes it. I think it was Jim Cantor, probably the clip you're thinking of.
Yeah.
That guy loves doing it. I mean, I assume he loves doing it. He's always seen
why would you want to do
why
that?
do people like jumping out of planes? Like, if there's a certain thrill, there's a certain rush. I'm sure there's a certain thrill to doing that.
I want to see
if like a hurricane
maybe
before.
maybe Roth has that thrill, and it kind of sucks that he's in Dallas. Because, like, what weather comes to Dallas? I mean, tornadoes, I guess.
Yeah, I think there's storm chasers, but that's more like Oklahoma, right? Kansas,
Right.
the Midwest.
Right. I'm saying I'm talking about Dallas.
What about those people?
Like, I'm
what's
talking as if it's like a band that doesn't like. Oh yeah, no, hurricanes. They don't come to Dallas. They only perform in the Southeast. You know, in the major cities.
Yeah. What's your take on like storm chasers? Like, what's that? Like, well, that's again, I guess that's a thrill, right? You see people chasing the storm and trying to go for the eye. You've seen Twister before. You know about the flying cow. That's just like a certain thrill, a certain psyche. I don't really get it. Some people like going on roller coasters. Different, it's just I think it's just a high. I assume. Roller coasters.
I don't like doing anything where I feel like I'm putting my body at risk.
Would you? So you think you're putting your body at risk on going on a roller coaster?
It feels like it.
Yeah, but that's the illusion is part of the fun.
Well, I don't like the illusion, Dean. I don't like it at all.
Would you go like in a haunted house, like a really sophisticated haunted house?
Yeah, no, I was a performer in a very sophisticated haunted house when I was younger.
Really? Define performer, like you're like a monster or some sort?
Yeah. Well, it was at Madison Square Garden. It was called Madison Scare Garden.
I get it. Yeah, it's a good fun. Yeah.
So they did it at the Paramount, and they did this whole thing at Madison Square Garden, basically because I was acting and doing improv and stand up comedy and everything. So there was an ad in Backstage, which is an industry mag with auditions, and it's like auditions for Madison Square Garden. Like, okay, a gig's a gig. You go for audition, and basically that it's a lot. They would have like multiple haunted houses, but it was all human controlled. It wasn't all automatic. So there were real people around, in the mazes, in the houses, and there were the switches and stuff, and you could basically scare people in different ways. So you were like while everyone was walking through, you were actually inside the walls with different things that you could do to scare the crap out of people. And then I love the spot. So they dress you up, you be like a zombie, look like whatever type of thing. And then anytime that you were going on a break, you had to walk around to get to the back area as if you were a zombie. So like if you had to go to the bathroom, it took you forever because you like you have to act like a zombie, right? So you're walking very slow and whatever, and finally you get back to catering and you're able to eat. But like my favorite, I always, because they didn't monitor like us that much, so we got to like pick. We would get assignments on like the areas to go. And then whenever I got this certain house, this certain maze thing, there was a room in there that the people walked through, and then they were walking through like the bathroom corridor, and it looked like it was a mirror. So they would walk by like what it looked like a mirror, but the mirror, there was nothing in there. It looked like a mirror when you walk by because it was painted on the other side of the wall as if the toilet, it looks like it's a mirror. And then you could literally wait until someone just gets right there and just pop your head out and scream right out them. And they would just like practically crap their pants. And then you could, in order to get them to go in that direction, there were switches for like the alarm clock to go off or the bed to go like this or whatever. So I would get them when people walked in, for the alarm clock for them to look over there and like, oh, the alarm clock went off. And then they look at the alarm clock and then the bed flips open like this. And they go, and then they start turning around to go the other way. And then I would come out of the mirror like that. And the faces would be like,
It was a blast. It was probably a blast, actually. I imagine it was a lot of fun.
It paid $20 an hour. It wasn't bad.
Well, forgetting the pay just seems like a fun thing to do.
The fact that, I mean, it's not an acting gig or anything like that, but when a nice 4-hour shift for $80 when you're like, I was like, 18 years old?
Yeah. Good. What was the audition like, out of curiosity? Like,
they basically the audition is, will you show up on time type of audition, right? I mean, there was no, it was kind of like you fill out the app, make sure that you're not a criminal, and pretty much like they had like 80 people, so it's like if you came, you got accepted. Like pretty much everyone who had auditioned got the job, only because they needed for like a 3-week period. And this thing ran like 14 hours a day.
Jeez.
So they'd just schedule you on like 4-hour shifts or 8-hour shifts. And and whatever. And there. So that's my. I'm much more like that's the last time I've done a haunted house because I mean I'm not a fan of haunted houses to begin with. To do them myself.
Tony in chat saying any good low-owned bats. I mean, anybody who's even half good is going to be owned because it's you can't hide in a 4-gamer. That's just how it's going to be, man. That's almost like an oxymoron as far as this slate, unless you tell me otherwise. Like Akil Baddoo is going to be owned leading off today for Detroit. He's not special, but he's got some speed and he's cheap. And, you know, we live in the world of salary cap. Not the salary cap matters so much because you're certainly not really spending up on pitching because there's really no pitching to spend up on. They did bump up Giolito on DK up to 9K for what it's worth. He's the best pitcher, right? Probably the best, most skilled.
Is he?
Pitcher.
But is he, Dean? But is he?
He is, yes. Yeah, I mean, he's got the best K rate in the slate by far. I mean, if you want to throw out Eovaldi, you can throw Eovaldi in the conversation, I suppose, if you want to. He's 22.7 as far as his K rate, which is fine, but he's just coming back from the IL. He had 3 innings as far as his rehab starts, so I wouldn't think they would push Eovaldi beyond, 4 to 5 innings at most. So he's kind of, sort of, somewhat – I don't want to say he's unplayable just because salary doesn't matter a ton. And there's certainly a scenario where Eovaldi, by default, is like the second best pitcher. That's possible. But Giolito's got the biggest K rate on the slate. I believe he's at the lowest Sierra. Well, again, Eovaldi's got a lower Sierra, but I don't really count that. 3.74 Sierra. Sure, his ERA is 5.05, but we know he's been unlucky this season as far as his batting average on balls in play is a 3.52. Which theoretically should correct itself. Players have been too lucky against him. By the way, he's absolutely somebody I'm willing to roster like Miranda against him or Gary Sanchez against him or Correa against him or even Gordon against him. He's absolutely somebody I'm going to roster, and I'm fine rostering a hitter against him too. And I know you said you're not doing that, and you're putting a rule in against it. I'm okay to do that.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's bad. It's okay to do that, depending on the lineup that you're playing. But the lineups that I'm playing, trust me, I don't need to do that.
Well, what are the lineups you're playing? How are you getting different on this 4-gamer?
Well, I'm stacking against Giolito, I'm stacking against Ranger Suarez, and I'm stacking against Eduardo Rodriguez. And I'm playing a lot of Louis Varland and Jonathan Heasley. Okay, so you tell me why I need to be if you're going to play Jonathan Heasley sucks. Yeah. But the Tigers are awful. So, like, at 7,100, just give a fine. Louis Varland is a prospect. The White Sox strike out a bunch and don't care.
He's not a
anymore.
prospect. Stop that. He's not a prospect.
Well, whatever. He's
young, but he's not a prospect.
I know. and then it's a 4-game slate, so we have like 50% owned Suarez, 40% owned Giolito, and 40% owned Rodriguez. It's like one of them gets hit. I'm gonna guess one of them does. So let me play 10 lineups and play a whole bunch of stacks against them. And then I need to obviously find pitchers. And then also in those lineups, a lot of those lineups, I'm leaving like 2,000 on the table because in order to fit in the other guys, it's like I end up with Bryce Harper. I end up with Kyle Schwarber. I end up with, a very high owned Devers in the third base spot, which from a projection standpoint is fine, but not great ownership wise. And in large field GPPs, I think that way of getting different, I don't need to worry about playing a batter against my pitcher. Now, if you're playing a lineup that is like Giolito, Suarez, and the Phillies, and then you want to play a Cubs bat or a Minnesota bat or something like that as a one-off in that lineup, sure, yeah, because your lineup is essentially chalk. Like you have like 3/4 of your lineup is going to be like 30, 40, 50% owned. So yeah, you're going to have to do something like that there.
Varland, by the way, 25th ranked prospect on Fangraphs and 10th ranked prospect in Minnesota on MLB.com for what it's worth. Like, all prospects are not the same. All prospects not created equal. Like, there are real prospects, and then like your 10th guy in the organization. There's 30 teams. You're the 300th prospect in baseball, and we know how random it is a prospects work out. Like, so he's young. We'll give him that.
Dean, where does Louis Varland rank on your Varland rankings?
Let's see. Who else is a Varland?
That's the point I'm making. He's maybe the number 1 Varland.
Well, he's not the number 1 Louis.
Well, and that's why do you think I didn't ask you about Louis?
Louis Anderson's got him. Louis, of course. Big Louis is like a restaurant somewhere. It's not a restaurant. There's got to be a Big Louis in every town, right? Like an Italian restaurant named Big Louis, like a pizza joint.
So just some random restaurant is better than this pitcher?
Yeah. Some of them are. Like, how do you screw up pizza? How do you screw up pasta? You can't screw up pasta. Pizza is different degrees of good, right?
Right, but is Louis Varland's pizza better than anyone else's pizza?
He doesn't make pizza. He throws baseballs. Louis Varland, to my knowledge, Captain Lou Albano. No, this is the technicality. This is the problem. Louis. I don't think Lou makes it. I don't think Lou. You know what I mean? Like Lou and Lou, because I'm very particular on spelling when it comes to my rankings. I don't know.
So even with an S, you're not going to give Louis even if he pronounces it with the Louis, even with an S.
That's a tricky one because there's Louis, Louie. I don't know, man. There's St. Louis, but again, the spelling is a little bit tricky. Luke Lewison, Giant Ball of Oil, in chat there. I don't. I did a show with him many years ago here at RotoGrinders. That was a lot of fun. There's not a lot of greats. There's probably some that we're missing too. There's Louis C.K.
The Cubs lineup is out. Just getting back to baseball.
Yeah.
Contreras, Suzuki, Happ, Wisdom, Horner, Reyes, Bodie, Velasquez, Morel. Let's see. Starting lineup page. So Bodie's batting, not leadoff, batting at the bottom of the order.
Morel, of course, batting ninth.
Right. So you get Contreras, Suzuki. So Happ is batting third. Wisdom is in, but batting fourth. Horner, Reyes. So it's all the same guys. Okay, so it's all the same guys other than PJ Higgins. So PJ Higgins is in for. So Velasquez is in for Higgins. So
Higgins not in. Yeah.
Okay.
He's out.
I mean, that's the main thing. Like the batting order, yes, will obviously change. Bodie's projection will go down. Contreras may go up slightly. I mean, some of these guys may move around a little bit, but just from a 1-to-1, who at least is in the lineup, it's basically Higgins is out of the projected lineup and Velasquez is in. Probably shouldn't matter that much anyway.
I like this call by Shannon, by the way, not just because Shannon's saying going with the Dean special, but playing Erod and then playing Sal Perez against them. Like, I love that. I mean, how many catchers are actually going to do something today? Maybe one, possibly two. Who knows? But, I mean, Erod's one of the more popular pitchers. He's actually been okay of late, trying to salvage the season. The season hasn't been special. He's been hurt, obviously. But he's been better of late, has not been as wild of late. And those are nice things we can say about him. And, again, if you look at the pitchers that are throwing baseballs today, he's on the podium, man, as far as the best options. He just has to be by default. We're talking about the 4-game early slate. You got to roster on DK. You got to roster 25% of these dudes. Well, it's just you can't be too picky. I'm doing a refresh as far as ownership. Ranger Suarez, most popular pitcher, facing that bad Cub team. Positive ballpark as far as pitching in today. Good environment. Home run suppression. 53% ownership for Ranger Suarez. Is if you look at our lineup HQ, he's got the rainbow as far as every single dot. For when it comes to conviction play across the board, everybody hit him as a conviction play, which is somewhat concerning because it's Ranger Suarez, but thus is the nature of the slate. 43% Lucas Giolito is uncomfortable, yes, but again, okay, if you're not rostering Ranger Suarez and you're not rostering Lucas Giolito and you're not rostering Erod, who's also 41%. Interesting to see all three of them are kind of the same, between 41 and 53%. And that seems to be the most likely scenario. Like, you're going to roster two of those three in like your cash games. Of course, in tournaments, you can do whatever you want. And your boy, Louis Varland is the fourth guy when it comes to ownership because, again, it gets really rough pretty fast. Eovaldi, we don't know about that pitch count, probably not very strong. Good pitcher, fine pitcher, but how deep can he go? And that's why I think, you tell me, Blender, is it crazy to play Eovaldi and hope for 4, maybe 5 good innings?
No, I think Eovaldi's fine. I mean, obviously his upside is capped, meaning that, maybe he has 4 innings and still has 5 strikeouts, but doesn't get the win or anything. But I mean, for 8,800, you're paying for the same upside. But if this is a slate where a lot of people get hit, and let's say this is a slate where no pitcher scores, none of these pitchers score more than 15 points.
Yeah, he can get 12 or 14.
Right, and that'd be fine. His strikeout prop's still 4.5. So like as far as Ks are concerned against this Baltimore lineup, I mean, he's going to be less owned, but it's not like he's going to be 1% owned. I mean, it's a 4-game slate. So I'm not opposed to playing Eovaldi, but for the most part, in my 10 lineups, I will be playing Louis Varland or Jonathan Heasley in half of them. And I'm not saying that I'm even playing them all with both of them together, but It's like I'm playing Ranger Suarez, Louis Varland, and then in another lineup, I'm stacking the Cubs and then playing Edward Rodriguez and Louis Varland or Jonathan Heasley. Like, so it's not like I'm not playing Suarez or Rodriguez. Giolito, I don't think I'm going to have on any line. I'm just deciding in my 10 lineups I ain't playing Giolito.
Are you going to stack against them at Minnesota?
Yeah, I'm playing Twins. I'm going to have played the most amount of the Twins today.
Yeah, I like that. In chat, Shannon's asking the best pitcher to stack against, and how do you what's the one that's most likely to hit, and what's the one that's going to pay off the most? It's two different questions, right? And it sounds like you've surmised that the best pitcher to stack against is Lucas Giolito.
That's correct, because you could play Minnesota lineups that still have a Phillies, still have a Harper or Schwarber one-off, and you're still getting a low ownership because on your whole lineup because you're playing 4 or 5 Twins guys. So, like, from a relative value standpoint, I prefer Giolito, but also because the Twins are a better hitting team than the Cubs, and the second one would be against Erod. So, like, to me, the best teams that stack from a relative value standpoint for large field GPPs, I think number 1 are the Twins, number 2 are the Royals, and number 3 are the Cubs. But the chalk is going to be the Red Sox and the Phillies.
Yeah,
and like those would be the top stacks. They have the 2 highest team totals. From a probability standpoint, that they're the most likely, but they're also the most owned. Doesn't mean you avoid them completely. It's quite possible that it's most likely in my Minnesota stacks that I have Red Sox and Phillies in them, right? I mean, like why not? I'm stacking against if my stack goes off, half the lineups in the contest are dead as they are.
Or 2-2,
right?
Like that.
Or whatever it comes out to. I'm doing 4-man and 5-man, and then the rest of it is whatever. It could be all one-offs. It could be whatever. It doesn't matter to me.
Look at you. 5-1-1-1. That's
Well, that's a normal stat. I do that in large slates also. But I'm like 4-2-1-1, only because it's a 4-game slate. Like I said, you could do stuff like that on the smaller slates, and that's why I gave you official permission to have one batter against your pitcher.
I had already come to that conclusion before we had the conversation.
You need my permission, Dean. That's what you need. I need to give you my permission.
I'm told you can play whoever you want. So I feel like I'm getting
true. That's absolutely true. Dean, you're absolutely right. You can play whoever you want. Whether or not you can play better lineups with other people is a different story.
That's a different part of the conversation.
Right. You can if you want to play. You want to play a stack of bench players. You can absolutely do so. It's most likely not a good lineup, but you can.
I don't want to do that. That's not going to be happening. And somebody in the chat was talking about a bunch of people getting pinch hit for. I don't think that's likely to happen. Not necessarily. I mean, I don't see that scenario playing out. Somebody's going to get pinch hit for, but I don't think there's like any clear and obvious spots where this guy's definitely not going to stick around the entire game. Other questions regarding this, but again, we're here for the next 25, 30 minutes or so. We're going to hand off the crunch time to chief meteorologist Kevin Roth, Derek Carty, and Dave Potts, 2-time millionaire winner. They're going to take you guys straight up to lock, and I believe they're going to touch on the night slate as well. But whatever's on your mind in regards to the slate, we can filibuster with the best of us. We can go off track. We can knock this out pretty easily in 25 minutes. We can certainly fill the time, but we're happy to answer your questions in chat as well. Feel free to fire away. Anthony's talking about vomit stacks, and I guess a lot of this, it's all vomit because there's no great. I mean, whatever.
You don't need vomit stacks. There's nothing to pay up for. So, me, it's reverse. Like overpaying for the Royals. Melendez is 5,100. Witt is 6,000. Perez is 5,400. You can do, and salary is almost not a thing today.
Correct.
So vomit stacks are only a thing when everyone else is struggling to find salary relief, and they're playing a one off here and one off there, and then you're just like, well, I'm just going to go down a pitcher and just hope for the best and stack a cheap team against a good pitcher. But I mean, that's every team on the slate. You can't have a vomit stack and have it the Twins are technically a vomit stack.
The slate is a vomit slate.
Hitters there are.
Blender. I'm calling it a vomit slate.
It's a vomit slate. Yes.
I just ran 100 optimals. I capped everything at 80 just to kind of see what would be spit out. And as I suspected, it capped out Schwarber and Harper 80% easy. And then it's going to give me 2, amongst the top 3. I'm using those, he's giving me Erod and Suarez, and then it's kind of splitting Varland and Giolito. But Erod hit 80%, he hit the cap. Suarez right there at 60%. It's giving me a bunch of Phillies. It's giving me Philly stacks.
Are those the RG projections or the bat?
These are the actually. You know what? These are the RG projections.
Don't worry about it. I'm already running. It's on the screen. I'm running 300 lineups. I'm running 5-man stacks. I'm capping the stacks just to see. I'm not saying these are the lineups that I'm playing or anything like that. Just to see what comes up more than not. As far as
to be clear, I didn't hit anything. I didn't put no rules in as far as
right because you're right because it's a 4-game slate into you 1-1-1-1-1.
No.
Playing 8 batters from 8 different teams. Why don't you do that, Dean? Why don't you want to piss me off? Right, because I'm
going to make a 1-1. It's not even possible. Is it? Well,
you can play one hitter. Play one hitter from every different team on the slate.
I'm going to make that. I'm going to do that. That's going to be hilarious.
Right.
And my goal is to min cash. It was 1-1, 1-1, 1-1, 1-1 team.
Right. One.
I think I can do it.
All you know is that you can't play a Tigers first baseman.
Okay. Is Cabrera not playing? Or
no,
is
there's no eligible first baseman for the Tigers. In the
okay. I thought I saw Cabrera in the lineup. Did I not see that? Am I making that up? He's not. Okay, never mind. He was in the projected lineup, I think I'll figure it out. Right. But I am absolutely going to make a 1-1. It's going to get you so tilted when it cashes.
I don't care. Dude, if it cashes, that's great. Great. Have your min cash equity. If it comes in first, then that's when I go, that pisses me off.
Oh, how angry would you be if it came in first? You'd never hear the end of it.
I would be angry. You'd get the 25,000. You know what you should do, Dean?
What's that?
You should use your one time on that.
Well, I mean, yeah. According to Nitrum99 in the chat, that is what won last night on DK. I didn't see what won. It was
I think it was a very low scoring slate. So low scoring like this.
Yeah. You had to have Matt Olson and Trout probably. You had to have Woodruff. Pictures don't matter when it comes to the breakdown, but yeah.
So based on the bat projections, the top stacks, Phillies, the Red Sox, obviously, and the Orioles.
I'm making the team right now, by the way, just for the record. I'm kind of going through and I'm trying to pick my spots. Trying to see. I can knock out the Cubs at like second base. Second base is gross. The Cubs are terrible. You play some David Bote. This is going to be so bad. I'm looking forward to it. I wasn't excited about the slate, and now I am.
And salary doesn't matter, so you can. It's going to be much easier for you to even do that because, right?
Yeah.
Because you're only playing one of Harper or Schwarber. You play one expensive. You got to get the cheap catchers. I mean, you can do whatever the hell you want.
I'm playing Sal Perez, the catcher. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, so you're not playing Bobby Witt at shortstop?
I don't think so.
Like Correa at shortstop.
What's interesting about shortstop, and I know we're not going to go around the horn. They'll do that in crunch time. But it's, I don't want to say it's loaded because it's a 4-game slate, but as positions go, if you kind of shop around like catcher and third, and shortstop's got Witt, Bogarts, Correa, Baez can homer, Henderson, Morel's got speed and power combination. It's the strongest position. You best not miss a shortstop is my estimation. Would you agree with that? That's not the place to punt.
Sure, I'm gonna build you a lineup right now.
Wait, you're doing the same thing? 1-1-1-1-1-1-1?
I'm doing it for you.
No, I want my own one. Now you're just mocking me.
Or what we should do is you'd have a heads up between our two 1-1-1-1 lineups.
My, yeah. Are you gonna make one too?
No, of course not. I'm not gonna put real money down on this, Dean. You do it for the bit.
You don't have. Do you not have fun, Wonder? Have a little bit of fun. It's okay.
I'll have fun for free.
Greg in chat actually makes a good point. Catcher is pretty good too. As catcher goes, catcher typically a rough position, but for 4 games, we got Sal Perez, Real Muto, Contreras, Melendez, Rutschman, even Sanchez has power potential. Catcher's good too. Weird. Catcher and shortstop are strong for a 4-game slate.
Second base sucks though.
Terrible. That's why second base, it's going to be like Bodie or Odor.
No, well, Bodie's going to be down in the lineup. He's not going to show up as much. Let's take a look at second base.
I get rid of the Cubs, though. I get rid of the Cubs, and I get rid of second base.
Oh, for your lineup, yes. I'm talking about for my lineups.
Yeah. You're trying to actually win.
Right. When Rougned Odor at 2,300 is the best value at second base, second base sucks.
Yeah. I'm deciding between Schwarber and Harper. I don't know which one of those. They're both really good, obviously. But I assume I'm going to have one of those in my Philadelphia one-off. Yeah. This is going to be good. We're going to cash. It's happening.
Where?
Well, it's a team effort. I mean, we're not splitting it if we hit it, but you're here
So I'm part of your team now for
by association. I think I'm speaking in the foremost. There's a mouse in my pocket. I don't know what
Just say that you'll do well. You don't have to include me.
Well, because I want to blame this on you when this gets.
Oh, that's the reason why. Oh, so if it doesn't happen, I get all the blame. You get all the spoils if it comes in, and I get all the blame if it doesn't. Don't
you understand touting 101? Is your first time?
Well, that's why I don't give picks or plays or anything.
Who's going to homer today? You have anything?
Okay, I got the oracle. I got the crystal ball. Okay, let me bring up the crystal ball.
You going to consult the precogs?
Yeah, I got it right. I got to consult the Minority Report. Yes. Right. Okay.
Why don't we talk about Minority Report? It's a good movie. It's just like lost in the vernacular. People don't talk about it anymore.
Okay, so the Oracle says my home run call of the day on this slate.
Is it Schwarber or Harper? One of those two.
It's going to be Schwarber.
Harper
actually is a little bit further down. It's more Schwarber. Okay. I mean, it would have been Trout in the late game. So Trout tonight and Schwarber this afternoon.
Yeah, that's bold. I mean, you want to be a little bit more ambitious than that or no?
Well, I could read you. Okay, who's the next on the home run column in the bat on this slate? Harper's number 2, right?
I'm going to say Hoskins.
Harper's 2, and then 3 is Hoskins.
Oh, I nailed it. Look at that.
And 4 is. There's a lot more homers, it seems like, on the night slate than on the.
Yeah, you could you can make it where it just shows the 4-gamer.
Oh yes, I can. You're right. You're absolutely right.
Is this your first time using the bat?
Well, I don't necessarily. I'm using it for props, but I don't need to know the.
I gotcha.
Okay. So we got Schwarber, Harper, Hoskins, Devers, Santander, Mountcastle, Sanchez, Perez, Wisdom, Odor, Real Muto, JD Martinez. I'm just going to keep on going. I'm going to name every player, and then when any of them hits, it's going to be my luck. I'm going to name every player, and there'll be no home runs hit.
Like there might be 2 home runs in this slate. It's certainly possible.
Yeah, these home run projections are quite low.
Well, it's cold everywhere, Like it's not, it's not summertime where it's 100 degrees out and the home run props are popping. The blenders say you are stacking the Cubs in a few lineups. Kurt's acting. Oof. Yeah, I mean you're playing. This is for large field. Yeah, you're shooting for the top.
Large field. All I'm doing this slate from a strategic standpoint. Is the pitcher high owned? Yes, I'm stacking against him. Because none of these pitchers are good. None of these pitchers are great pitchers. I don't mind. Giolito, dude, he could give up 8 runs. I mean, like, come on. Like
He's done it before.
Right. So, like, I'm just going to put myself – I have 10 lineups. I'm going to stack against the 3 most owned pitchers. And then in the other lineups may still play the other pitcher. I mean, like I'll have a lineup with the Cubs stack against Suarez and then a lineup with Suarez with a KC stack against Eduardo Rodriguez. So it's like – and then I'm using Louis Varland and Jonathan Heasley as like these SP2 in those lines, in all those types of lines.
Are you saving a bunch of salary there, or like are you leaving salary up, or you're?
Yeah. Some of my lineups will probably have like 2,000 salary left off the table.
But if you're playing Cubs, you can spend the salary and upgrade Heasley to like Erod or I guess you're picking on Giolito.
Right, but Erod, Heasley to Erod, that's only a $200 difference. Like
I'll take Eovaldi over Heasley. I think.
Well, Heasley projects better than Eovaldi in the bat.
By what? A decimal point?
No, by 0.7 or so.
That is a decimal point.
So I want if I'm going to build lineups like this, I need all the decimal points I can get.
Sam wants to know Melendez or Sanchez, Fanduel large field. Sam also has Witt and Perez, so that would make sense for a KC stack, but he also has Correa. But I would say go for the bigger stack, I suppose. I think Melendez over Sanchez. Personally, you're going to force me to pick, but you hate these kind of questions. I know.
It doesn't matter. Whatever. I don't know the rest of your lineup or what the projection is or anything. Or like Kurt and Chad, Varland and Heasley okay for FanDuel or SB2 only for DraftKings?
I would not say FanDuel.
I don't think you need to use these guys on FanDuel.
I don't think so.
I take a shot. I mean, if you want to take a shot on Varland, I think Varland. I mean, it depends on how contrarian. If you already have a contrarian batters. Just play Gio or Suarez or Rodriguez. I mean, just like They're better pitchers.
Large field, like I would add the qualifier. It's got to be for a large field if you're playing Varland on Fanduel.
No, you can play small. Why not? You play small, play Varland, and then you play all the Red Sox and the Phillies in that lineup, right? Because you could get them in.
Let me see. I'm pulling it up now. The full disclosure, FanDuel, their bigger contests are tonight. And when I took a peek at FanDuel before the show started, I guess all the good stuff or like all the contests I like were basically sold out, unfortunately. Maybe they've replenished. I've not seen. But I'm not playing there right now. So I'm just playing DraftKings today. You playing FanDuel the early FanDuel slate?
No, I'm just DraftKings.
Okay. I'm sure, I assume I'll play FanDuel later on tonight where their contests are pretty good. Ownership projections. Let's see. Interesting. So Suarez is 9-2. You got to pay a little bit more. But again, I imagine it's probably not hard to get Suarez and good hitters. Like I'll run some optimals, just kind of see. And it's not going to. I'm pretty confident it's not going to give me like Varland or Heasley. There's no way you're paying 9-4 for Eovaldi on FanDuel. Like I can't imagine you're paying full freight for like half the allotment of pitches, basically.
If you see here, like I'm showing on the screen, like here's a lineup where I'm stacking Minnesota against Giolito, but you run into this problem right here. You're playing Suarez, Rodriguez. And then your one-offs are like Schwarber and Harper at like mega ownership and Cedric Mullins because you have all the salary to spend because there's nothing to spend it on. So like this type of lineup is a lineup that I'm not playing.
It's too obvious. And also technically, not to get too technical on you, but Schwarber and Bryce Harper playing them together are not one-offs.
Right. It's a two-man, whatever. But I'm just saying like you're just
there.
And this is a lineup. Look, this lineup leaves 1,100 on the table.
Okay, so that's different. That's a little different.
No, but that's the only way you can fit them in. You can't spend any more money.
Oh, okay. So,
it's impossible to, right? You just can't because you're stacking against Giolito, who's the most expensive pitcher.
I gotcha.
So, like, in order to play, because any of these other twins in the outfield, all the outfielder eligible twins are 2,200 and 2,300. So, like, where else are you spending the money? So, like, and if I play the twins, like, I'm going to play this lineup. But like instead of playing Schwarber, I'm playing Franmil, or maybe not against playing Kiki Hernandez or something like that, and another like Red Sox, Tommy Pham, right? So, and now look, and I'm leaving what for 4,300 on the table, or something, something like this, where you're leaving money on the table and then using MJ Melendez as a one-off or something. Well, not in that lineup with Erod, but whatever. You find a player. Find something that you like.
Optimals, by the way, on FanDuel, like Suarez. I guess it's not a surprise. He hit the cap. Suarez, Giolito, and Erod, the only ones that hit the first 100 lineups I made. Who's your favorite player to pick on? I know you're more like a teams kind of guy. To fire at Giolito. I think mine is Miranda. Giolito historically reverse splitsy. Miranda's my preference. I'm good with Correa as well. I do feel like
I could look at the Oracle, Dean. I could look at the Oracle.
Okay. Well, you sure it's not an almanac? It's just the Oracle?
It's whatever. The best point per dollar play against Giolito is Celestino. But I mean, only because he's 2K. Because he's 2K, right. Obviously, the highest projected one is Correa at 7.6. Correa, then Miranda, then Arias, then Urshela, then Sanchez. But of course, Miranda and Arias are both first base only eligible.
Yeah.
Much more likely to play Miranda for power than Arias for, hitting a bunch of singles.
I wish Miranda was third base eligible. He's probably third base eligible on FanDuel. I don't know why he lost it on.
Well, so you get a utility spot on FanDuel, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, well, yeah, okay. He is third base eligible on FanDuel. He's not on DK, which I'm 90% sure he used to be. Now he's just straight first base. Just first base today is Miranda. Minnesota's doing everything they can to find a leadoff hitter down the stretch. It's not working. Really struggling, really missing Buxton. Obviously, their season's over. They do have the drama of Arias winning the batting title, though. He's right there with Aaron Judge. Baseball's great, right? Look at these two dudes. Like, they're equally good at the same skill set and whatever. And in terms of batting average, obviously I know one is distinctly better than the other and more useful, but it is kind of funny. Like, you look at Altuve standing next to Judge. It's like these guys play the same sport for a living. Yeah, there you go. That's just one of the fun little intricacies of baseball. I'm sure you appreciate that, Blender. Also, as a soccer guy, you don't do particularly tall in soccer. Messi's not tall, right?
No, if you looked at Messi, you'd be like, this guy's an athlete?
Yeah.
He's 5'8", 160 pounds. He's not really like muscular in any way, but You put the ball in his feet, and he looks like magic.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the point. That's the whole argument, Dean. Whenever you hear anyone use the tired trope that doesn't work, of like our best athletes don't play soccer. Like, you don't have to be an athlete. You just have to be a soccer player. If anything, you're just saying the people that are more likely to be into sports and learn how to play soccer are learning to play another sport, if anything. But it's not the like, oh, if LeBron played soccer,
LeBron started
when he was 8
years
years
old,
old,
5 years
he's the
old.
greatest soccer player. That wouldn't be true, dude. There are plenty of people. Look around leagues around the world.
No, it's
You'll
true.
find plenty of
I get your
6'6", 240-pound center backs and forwards that are stuck on fifth division teams because, yes, they could kick the ball hard or they could run fast. But as far as the first touch and all the intricacies of actually playing soccer, they're very clumsy at.
But I mean, at the same time, your point is fairly made. But at the same time, if LeBron went to like a soccer academy at 5 years old and he was raised and the only exclusively focused on soccer, I think he would be a fabulous soccer player. And imagine him on
fabulous soccer player. But the difference is that the things that make LeBron James a good basketball player,
different skill set,
don't necessarily help. Like being 6'10" in soccer. Peter Crouch was 6'10". He was a forward for Liverpool and a bunch of other teams. He was actually he was good with the ball at his feet also as a target man, but just making yourself taller doesn't you're strong. Like, yes, Didier Drogba, who played for Chelsea, very strong, like 6'2", very strong forward as far as muscling his way in the box or whatever like that. But still, at the end of the day, most of the game is played with the ball at your feet, which means your strength and your height doesn't even play a factor into the game. It's more of the technical skill of moving the ball from one foot to the other foot to around someone to passing it 40 yards across the field.
What about set pieces,
to another person?
Corner kicks?
Right. But I'm just saying that's why Lionel Messi at 5'8" and nothing, could be like, okay, you put him one-on-one against a well-trained LeBron James from 5 years old, and Messi will destroy him. I mean, like the fact that he's big and athletic doesn't do anything for that.
Yeah. No, it's a reasonable point. But also a lot of our best athletes stop playing. Like soccer's, my understanding, it's like one of the most popular youth sports, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 years old. But at some point, a lot of them just ditch it and get rid of it. Myself, I played soccer for a good bit, and I was on, that was all right back in the day as far as soccer. I was a lefty, so it helped. I had a big left foot, threw me on the left wing. But how about were you much of a soccer player, Blender? Or you just like it from the?
No, I was a soccer referee.
Really, man?
I was a baseball umpire and a soccer referee. Yes,
my brother did that, and refereeing in South Florida, where we take our soccer very seriously. Like he got threats multiple times. He's like, "All right, that's it. This is not worth $5 or $10, whatever it was."
I got paid more than that. That's why.
Well, we did this years ago, but yeah,
right.
Whatever it was. But soccer's taken very seriously in South Florida. You can imagine. Multiple. Did you have any interactions with opposing coaches or I guess fathers?
Yeah, all the time.
Any threats?
Umpiring. Yeah, typically the parents are worse than the coaches.
Oh,
and the
parents
players.
The worst. Yeah,
that's why once you get to a certain age, like once you get to 13, 14-year-old ball, to high school level ball, the parents don't. The kids don't want the parents there, so the parents don't show up. But when you're doing little league, like 11, 12-year-old, Jesus, everyone thinks that they're managing the Yankees and they're watching this is dude, we're playing. It's an 11, 12-year-old baseball game.
This game doesn't matter. We're just trying to have some fun, having a good time, getting out of the house. Yeah, this is not the World Series. Let's relax. But and sometimes the coaches take it too seriously and it spreads and whatever. And the parents, of course, why are my kids not playing? And that wasn't a strike and yada yada. And the
coaches take it seriously and they know less than the players, right? The 12-year-old catcher knows more about the baseball rules, and than the coach, because when you're behind the plate, you hear a lot of conversations between kids that the parents don't, that you don't hear, right? right? Like I had one catcher. It was like a 15, 16-year-old game, like a junior varsity baseball game, where the catcher the whole time through was just bashing his own manager because the manager was arguing balls and strikes from the dugout and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And the catcher, even because you don't turn around, you don't show up the umpire like that. But
Yeah.
like it was like so far, like there would be a pitch that was like this far outside, and the manager, oh, where was that blue, whatever, like that, and the kid was like, I wish you would just shut the fuck up. I mean, that's literally what he said.
And demonetized. Right. Yeah. They're the worst. Just enjoy the game. Let the kids have a good time. Let's not take us too seriously. The kids having fun. That's all that matters when they're like 10 years old, right? For some reason, every parent thinks their kid's going to be the next Aaron Judge or whatever. So
maybe they think their kid will be the next Louis Varland.
Well, you know what? They would be so lucky to have their kid be the next Louis Varland. Louis Varland's done very well for himself. It's always weird. I feel like a jerk. We're like, oh, Louis Varland stinks. It's like, well, he doesn't stink. He's like in the 99th percentile as far as like people who throw baseballs, but relative to the people where the level he's at now, right? It's the worst player. The 15th guy on a basketball team could school anybody. Like, he's awesome. But, in the NBA, relative to everybody else, somebody's got to stink, right? If you're going to rank them, that's just how that goes. We have Crunch Time Crew coming up shortly. I believe we'll be knocking on the door in a few minutes. Dave Potts, Derek Carty. You got Chief Mineralogist Kevin Roth. Michael in chat says, baseball, please. They're going to go around the horn. They're going to do the whole deal. They're going to take you guys up the lock, whatever questions you have. Well, certainly if you are premium members, Kevin Roth will prioritize the premium Discord.
And also, if you're premium members, right, you click on that link in the description.
Yeah.
Everything you see on the screen, you get. So, like, you'd be able to, like, actually look at the projections and answer your own questions.
Michael, if you happen to have a specific question, by all means, fire away. We're here for a few minutes, and we're here for y'all. But the chat's been kind of quiet. I didn't want to chat 69's, no questions, but it is making an appearance. I don't really think we can have much interaction there. But, it's the dog days of baseball, a week left. It's early morning. Not a lot of people are playing Mlb Dfs. Appreciate y'all hanging out with us. Do hit that like button, subscribe, turn on those notifications. We did talk this slate about as much as you can. Blender, if you want to reiterate your points, feel free to tell the people your strategy as far as the slate. And if you were to ask me before this slate started, like, how is Blender going to attack this slate? I would have guessed correctly. Like, this is how Blender is going to attack this slate. Hey, there's Grant Neefer in the chat. Wants to talk about Brendan Fraser. Yeah, Grant loves himself some Brendan Fraser. It's his favorite actor. Isn't that weird? That doesn't make any sense, does it?
No, for Grant, that makes total sense. Come on.
I bought. I spent a month at his house. I figure I owe him at least something. So I went on Etsy and bought him a mug of Brendan Fraser. So every single morning when he's drinking his whatever he's drinking, it's a reminder that I exist. It's a picture of Brendan Fraser in all of his acting roles. So yeah. It's apparently he's got a comeback working in The Whale, I think is the name of his new movie. Gus Van Sant directed, of course, from Good Will Hunting fame. It's supposed to be really good. They gave him a standing ovation, and hopefully he has a triumphant comeback. But give me the summary here as far as the
summary of the whole slate is this: if you want to play like the best plays, right, the best projected everything, Giolito, Erod, Ranger Suarez, the Boston Red Sox bats, the Phillies bats,
yeah.
If you built that lineup, welcome to Chalk City. I mean, there you go. That's the best projected.
It's kind of gross chalk, but like that's just the slate. There's no good chalk.
Right. That is what it is. Now, if you want to get different, you get different by like, well, I'm going to do that, but just going to play like 2 1% on guys. There's no 1% on guy. Who you play? There's only so many things. So, what's the best way to get to first place, other than letting your opponents get very bad scores? So what are those opportunities? Well, look at the 3 starting pitchers that are the most owned. So it's like, well, what happens if one of them has a bad game? Okay, that probably means the bats had a good game. So like, there you go. So which one do you want to stack against? That's an option. If you don't want to do that, if you want to play the two chalky pitchers and still play the Red Sox and then something else, it's just harder to get okay, then I'm going to play in my non-Erod lineup. I'm going to play Giolito. I'm going to play Giolito, Suarez, and then I'm going to stack against, and then I'm going to play some Kansas City bats, but only played 2 of them. Like those, you're still not getting that far away from, I mean, that if you're playing a single entry small field contest, okay, I guess you could do that, but you're still sharing so many points with so many other lineups. Me, for these small slates, I want to share the least amount of points with the least amount of lineups, as long as I'm playing guys that like are going to play, right? So like, yeah, no bench players or anything, no relief pitchers, like not like that.
Yeah.
So it's like, what's the easiest way to do that? It's like, okay, well, the chalk pitchers, the ownership of the bats are going to be lower. And then I'm still playing against plenty of people that are playing those types of lineups. So if they spend all their salary, like I showed you with that Twins lineup, like I'm going to run into too many shared points. So like leaving 2,000 on the table while doing so, okay, that gives me less likely of getting into that situation. So like that's how I'm approaching it from a GPP standpoint. But if you want the best plays, projection-wise, it's Giolito, Suarez, Eduardo Rodriguez, the Boston Red Sox, and the Phillies bats. So
and we're kind of doing air quotes with best plays too, because some of them are just best plays by default because somebody's got to be the best play. Did you give a take as far as Heasley for tournaments? Is Heasley in your pool of terrible pitchers?
Yes, he projects better than Eovaldi, so why the hell not?
Well, I mean, it's by like a tick, right? And Eovaldi's mostly getting punished because of his pitch count. He's not as good a pitcher as Eovaldi.
Right, I agree.
But like, Eovaldi can only go so far. I didn't see the specific number of pitches he threw in his rehab, and Boston's been out of it for a long time, and Eovaldi's been gone for a while. So
the bat has his projected pitch count at 72.
Okay, that seems like okay. Yeah, I mean, in my head, I'm feeling like no more than 5 innings. But like
right. That's why I prefer he's like even though Eovaldi's a better pitcher and he's still viable, you can still use Eovaldi if you want on DraftKings. Maybe not on FanDuel. Don't do it on FanDuel because you want to get the 6 innings of the quality start, and you want to get the win.
Will anybody get that today? Will anybody in FanDuel get the quality start?
I don't know, but I mean, I don't want to have a pitcher that's almost unlikely to get the quality start.
You're starting from behind there.
Right, you're starting from behind. So Heasley just has a higher pitch count. He's a worse pitcher, yes. But also, he's facing the Detroit Tigers. And I take a look at the Detroit Tigers lineup.
Detroit any good at baseball? I'm just learning baseball now. Tigers any good?
No, and especially this. I mean, they have an even more strikeout-heavy lineup today than they normally have.
Yeah, well, Badu leading off at almost 30% as far as Ks. The rookie Green, big-time prospect. He'll be good eventually. Plenty of holes in his swing. No power. The WOBA's bad. Everything's bad. He'll walk a little bit. That's about it. But he's been horrendous so far this year against righties specifically. 24.6% collectively as far as striking out. The most contact-heavy bat in this lineup is Castro. Of course, Heasley doesn't strike people out either. So something's got to give. 15.8% as far as the Ks. That's bad. 10.8% as far as walks. That's really bad too. Like, he's not good, but, it's bad versus bad. And something's got to, or maybe it's just like he goes 4 to 5-ish innings and gives up 3 runs and strikes out 4, and he's just sort of meh. And the hitters are sort of meh. And that's just kind of the slate. The whole slate is meh. That's it, man. Different degrees of meh. Philadelphia is certainly going to be pretty promising. Harper and Schwarber will be super popular. You have the salary to do it against, Assad. And the ballpark's not great today, but like instead of the ball going 8 rows up or 9 rows up because of the weather, maybe it goes 3 rows up as far as just getting out when it comes to homers. But thus is the nature of the slate. That's what we're looking at. We put the lipstick on the pig. That's the best we can do. Let's close with this until Crunch Time Crew's knocking on the door.
They're here. I got a question for Raw.
Oh, well, go ahead.
Oh, lovely. Yeah. What is it? What's up?
I got a question with the hurricane stuff.
Oh, okay. Right? Yeah.
Not about the hurricane, about the meteorologists. What's the deal? Like inside of the meteorologist circle, you're in your meteorologist green room. You're at the water cooler. You're hanging out with your other weather nerds.
Sure. We got a big group
when it comes to these big events like this, like we always see, and people always obviously make fun of in some way of like the weather people that are like out literally in the hurricane.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Is that something that like, oh, the news stations go, okay, one of you guys got to do it, or is it the type of thing where it's like a roller coaster and some of you would just really like, we want the thrill of being in the hurricane?
Like a bucket list thing, like you want to do it at some point,
right?
100%. You absolutely want to do it. Yeah. Like I would love to be out there. Like, did you see Cantori getting blown over and then the tree limb came and like nailed him in the shins?
Yeah, I reference Cantor as well.
Roth, do you think it's irresponsible though of getting on the TV saying everyone has to get out of here, but I'm going to stand in the middle. I'm going to do something that I don't think anyone else should do.
No, it's absolutely irresponsible and it's ridiculous, but it's such good TV. Like you can't not watch when they're doing it. And if they weren't doing it, some idiot would be doing it streaming. Like it might as well do it. Somebody's going to do it.
Are they wearing like ankle weights and like weighted jackets and stuff? They have to be, right?
I don't think they do that. A lot of them put on helmets because, like, you know, there's 100 mile per hour.
Is there a camera person there also? Because like they're not even on TV.
Yeah, so the camera person,
the camera people that want to do this.
Well, the camera people are usually like tucked away, hidden like up behind a building or something, so they don't get the wind. And then they just send the meteorologist out there to just get blasted. It's so cool. I love it.
Hey, Roth, correct me if I'm wrong, but like obviously when a hurricane's coming, tropical storm's coming, like all hands on deck, everybody. It's not just the weather people, not just the meteorologists, but like they have everyday, you know, reporters go out there too. I feel like those are the ones that are probably less excited about participating in such things.
That is 100% true. I married a reporter, my wife, and they made her do it. And she would always be so pissed off every time. Like, why don't they have your ass get out here and do it? I was like, I got to be in the studio talking about the storm. So yes, the reporters do not like doing it.
Did you meet your wife in the newsroom?
Yes. Yeah.
Oh, cool. Do we know this?
Yeah.
I wasn't aware. If I heard it once, I forgot.
Oh yeah, no, we hired her as an anchor and a reporter, and I was like, I'm a bang her. And then I was like, yeah, I'm gonna marry her. Actually, that's actually what I'm gonna do. Yeah, that's pretty much how it went.
What's up, Dave? How are things in your world?
Fine. I'm barely alive, but I'm amused by you guys. I want to do a lot of muting and coughing, but now you guys carry on. But actually, Roth, I do have an actual hurricane question.
Yeah, bring it on.
Like, I'm really serious. Like, so forget the Donald Trump, we should nuke the hurricane tweet.
Sure.
But like, is there some future in which somebody figures out some way to slow down hurricane?
It's just so big and so powerful that I don't really see it. I don't think so. No.
That's sad. It just seems like you know, okay, we can go to the moon, you know, whatever. But this hurricane is too much, and maybe if it just is, it just is.
They're so big. I mean, it takes up half the Gulf of Mexico, and it's so powerful, and it's just spitting tornadoes out left and right like they're nothing. Like hurricanes are so big. I don't think there's anything we can do to stop it.
All right.
Mr. Burns figured out how to block the sun. You figure Mr. Burns would be able to, you know, stop hurricanes? Is that not in the works for him, or anybody know?
Is this a Simpsons reference?
Yeah. Has nobody seen the Simpsons movie?
No, sorry.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
You got anything else for the boys here, Blender? You got to make some lineups, right?
Nope, I'm making my lineups.
All right, I'm going to step aside and make some lineups as well. The start of the FanDuel sponsor, Crunch Time. It begins now with chief meteorologist Kevin Roth. You got Dave Potts. You got Derek Carty. Roth, take it away.
Appreciate it, Dino. Appreciate it, Blender. As always, good stuff. Welcome to it, ladies and gentlemen. It is Crunch Time. It is sponsored by FanDuel. And if you are watching this, it's because of FanDuel sponsorship. It's free. How amazing is that? All you got to do is hit the like button. That is your payment on the YouTube. So go ahead, hit that like button. Happy to be joined by two of the very sharpest minds in the industry. One, Mr. Dave Potts, a.k.a. Cheese is Good. Cheese, how are you, good sir? You're not good. You're not good.
I'm so sick. Yeah. I'm way better than yesterday, but I will have to mute and cough some.
Yesterday, because I do recall you were supposed to be on the show, but then you weren't. I didn't realize it was because you were sick.
Yeah, I got I have whatever Cards had last week when he couldn't talk for a couple of days.
Yeah. The robot voice? When he had the robot voice?
Yeah, I hope I can do robot voice. That would be amazing.
I'm sorry, man. That sucks. You got the cough.
But we're all right. This is a goofy little slate. Like it's horrible, and yet still, you know, everyone's playing with the same slate. It's not like somebody gets to play a great pitcher. Well, you have to choose from these guys. Like we all have the same pitchers. So I mean, and the same hitter. There's no good pitchers and there's no good hitters. But it's the same pool for everyone. So
okay.
Still something to win.
I will say I always find this to be the most interesting time to talk to Mr. Derek Carty, when there's not just like a clear. Everybody knows this is the play. I think it's more fun when there might be like some crazy, crappy dude that we get to play. So, Carty, what do you got?
I mean, the thing is, like, there is a clear this is the play.
There is one guy, yeah.
It's just like if it was a different slate, like he wouldn't be the play.
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
But yeah, there is weird stuff you can play on this slate because everyone's like kind of not great. There's certainly some stuff that you can do weird stuff.
Okay, I like doing weird stuff. Carty, can I get an update? How's Blitz going?
Blitz is going great. Yeah, it's been doing really well. The props, we have another prop show later today. We got a couple good ones coming out. 3 profitable weeks in a row. I think 23% ROI so far on the prop show this year, which has been great. So that's free. Come later today. We're making people money. I think it's at 2:30 Eastern time or 3:30 Eastern time. Check it out. And get the Blitz for DFS because that's really good too.
Yeah, and the other thing I noticed, I follow your tweets, of course, and it was that you came up with all these props, and then by the time the game started, and I think maybe this was Sunday or maybe not, all of those lines had shifted significantly. So it's like get on these props.
Yeah, exactly. Like once we give the plays out, the lines start moving, and by Sunday, we're on the sharp side of them, so they're going to keep moving. So yeah. A lot of the stuff the Blitz likes has already moved since they were released last night. So like the Blitz loves Geno Smith, and all the Seahawks props have all been moving in that direction since last night.
Nice. I lost Mac Jones as my fantasy quarterback, but I randomly had Geno Smith, and turns out Geno Smith's just better than him. He's better anyways. So
this I'm not the football guy, but Geno Smith feels like Eduardo Rodriguez. Like, yeah, this is what we have.
We're planting our flag there. All right,
question, Roth, actually, real quick, while we're talking about football.
Yeah, please.
What are the chances this Tampa Bay game happens in Tampa Bay? Because if it doesn't, they're going to a dome, and I want to project that if I can.
Yeah, no, I think it's going to be fine. Like Tampa didn't get it. Didn't get it. The storm moved south, so Naples and Sarasota got it, but Tampa should be fine. I expect they're going to play in Tampa.
That sucks. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great for the people who live in Tampa.
Right. That sucks.
Who cares about Tampa?
About my friends and family from where I'm from, my hometown. They're safe. Shit. All right. Let's talk about this slate in particular here, guys. We've got 26 odd minutes or so until lock, I do believe. So Cheese, you want to give us an overall? You kind of did. Everything sucks.
Yeah, it's every single offense is playable because there's not an ace. There are no great pitchers. You could definitely stack any and all offenses. We do have a couple that kind of stand out. But like pitching wise, it's a 3, maybe 3.5 pitcher slate. Some combination of Eduardo Rodriguez, Suarez, and Giolito are very clear chalk. Like those 3 guys will split up all the ownership. They're very clearly the best 3 pitchers, best in air quotes. I think I agree with Suarez ending up as the chalk on DK. Because if you play Suarez Rodriguez, you can do absolutely whatever you want. You can kind of do whatever you want anyway. So the bat loves Rodriguez. So I'm mostly going to let Derek talk about Rodriguez. I don't. He's 3rd out of those 3 for me, but it's essentially a 3-way tie for me. I don't care. I just, where Derek has him ranked, and I think he would. I have a thing to add to Carty's offseason list of things to do. I would love a slider where we can set our own pitch count and see what it does to the projection. Because my hunch is if we projected Rodriguez for 85 pitches today, he'd probably still be your top guy, at least in points per dollar. But like you've got like a best case scenario on him, which I don't really like. But he's $7,300 and he's fine. So sure. Personally, I go Suarez, Giolito, and then Erod. But I don't really argue with any way you want to mix and match those 3 guys. The and a half to the 3.5 pitchers is Louis Varland at 6,400 on DK is interesting. I cannot do it with Jonathan Heasley. He is facing Detroit and he is right-handed, and that alone does make him somewhat viable, but he is so bad at pitching. Like I just can't do it personally. So for me, those 3 guys, Erod, Suarez, Giolito, any order you want to put them, officially, I do not recommend going all in on any of these guys. I think you got to split them up. And then I'm okay with Varland if you need more savings on DK, and that's it for me.
Very good. Okay, Carty, you got 3.5 in your pool as well, or is it a little bit expanded?
Yeah, it's a little bit expanded. Like Cheese said, the bat likes Eduardo Rodriguez best. It has him for about 100 pitches. But he's a good pitcher who just gets unlucky all the time, and he's in a really good matchup against Kansas City, and he's the cheapest of the three, and he comes in lower. He's projected for lower ownership than Suarez anyway, and about the same as Giolito. So I think he's clearly the best play in all formats of the three. I'm not going to tell you he's great. I'm not going to tell you like Suarez or Giolito aren't going to beat him. Like they all project decent, but not great. So do with that what you will. I will do the Heasley thing. I will recommend Heasley. Yeah, he's bad at pitching, like Cheese said, but he also projects for 14 points. And Suarez doesn't. He projects like 2.5 points higher. Giolito projects like 1.5 points higher. And Heasley is significantly cheaper and comes at significantly lower ownership. The matchup is fantastic. It's a small, crappy slate. I think Heasley might be the best GPP pitcher on the slate. He's certainly up there for me. So I like Heasley quite a bit more than Cheese, I guess. I'm willing to throw a bad pitcher when it's a crap slate and a great matchup.
Yeah. Okay. Any interest in some of these other names? We got Bauman, Assad, Eovaldi.
I think Bauman and Assad you can throw out. Eovaldi is talented and in a good spot, but he's going to be severely limited. He's going to throw the bat thing 72 pitches based on his rehab. So like the ceiling's really just not there. Like I guess you can because just of the nature of the slate, but I probably wouldn't.
Yeah. Okay. Good
The
stuff.
only way Eovaldi is in the winning lineup is if all but one of the other pitchers put up basically a 0, which is honestly quite possible.
Sure.
Who these pitchers are.
Sure.
Like Eovaldi's going to go 3 or 4 innings, and that's just not very good. But it's not like outlandish to think all these guys score 5 points.
Okay. All right. Interesting. This is just a note from Gabriel in the YouTube chat. He says, I'm leaving 5.2K on the table on FanDuel. Is that legit? Is that even doable? Is that possible?
Well, the pitching, I mean, Erod's 8,300. Heasley and Varland are 7,500. And unless you're playing Schwarber and Harper, like Schwarber, Harper, Devers, I think are the only 3 bats. Yeah, they're the only 3 bats even near 4K. If you're not playing those 3 guys, every batter is basically $3,000.
Okay.
So, yeah.
All right. I mean, that will be a unique lineup.
If you spend your salary, you have the same lineup as everyone else because it's Schwarber, Harper, Devers, and that's just what you have.
Yeah, interesting. All right, let's talk about some of the bats and some of the stacks here. Carter, you want to lead us off talking about, what's the best stack, and then what else do we got?
Yeah, so the best stack is clearly Philly. Like Cheese said, like Schwarber, Harper are going to be very popular. Philly's easily the best stack. They're facing the weakest pitcher. They're a good offense. But they're going to be super owned. So like you can definitely do other stuff instead. If you're playing Philly, you want to be a little different with your pitchers. Maybe that's where you roll out Heasley or something like that. And Heasley more of a DK play than a FanDuel play, I will say. I don't think I go that deep on FanDuel. But yeah, after that you can kind of play anything. Baltimore and Boston are kind of like the next best 2, but also the next highest owned. And then all the rest of the teams are just like one glob that are just like the same. So like you can play leverage stacks against any of the chalk pitchers. You can play Twins against Giolito. You can play Cubs against Suarez. You can play Royals against Erod. And you're fine to do any of that. And then you have the White Sox and the Tigers who are against Varland and Heasley, and they're really affordable. They project really well point per dollar. So like you literally can play any team on this slate.
Okay. Very good. Cheese, in agreement here?
Yeah. So very similar to with the pitching, how it's not that likely that anyone puts up a great score. Like we quite possibly don't see anyone score 20 points, like pitcher wise on DK or more than 30 on FanDuel. It's quite possible that no team scores 5 runs today. if it is one team scoring, the 10 runs, it's probably the Phillies. But even there, you have that at least a little downgrade with the weather. It's not as likely that they hit, 7 home runs on this particular day. So I don't think you just have to full stack, except then the problem is then you're just picking out individual players that don't look really good. Mm-hmm. So I think really you're kind of playing for the outlier game where one of these starters gets shelled early and then they just go to these random rookies in the bullpen who aren't ready to pitch, and you never get to even a reasonable bullpen behind them, in which case all 8 teams are fully in play.
Okay. Yeah, that could happen literally any game. Okay, fair enough. You got a favorite? I mean, you mentioned all 8, but do you have a favorite?
Phillies as the obvious chalk.
Sure, but outside of that.
Secondary, semi-chalk, I like Baltimore, and then my next one would be Kansas City.
Okay, very good, guys. Let's do a little position-by-position talk here. Cheese, real quick, this is completely irrelevant, but I want to note it. Cheese, I'm going to a baseball game. I'm going to an Astros game next week. Is that exciting or what?
That is exciting.
I haven't been to a baseball game in like 3 years, so I'm pretty pumped about this.
You should go to a playoff game this year. You'll have some playoff games, sir.
It would make more sense to go to a playoff game than a like random end of season game that matters.
But you do a little test run with the end of season game, and then go. And then you're kind of ready. You're prepared for the playoff game.
See how it goes. Yeah. Anyways, I just wanted to brag because I'm actually weirdly excited about it. Okay, let's talk about position by position. Start us off with a little catcher talk, Cheese.
So what's interesting is salary isn't much of an issue at all anywhere on either site, except at catcher on DK, where everyone's like $5,500. It's kind of wild. I do like Adley Rutschman the best, and he's the great catcher who's under 5K. So give me Rutschman. But I'm fine playing like Sanchez or Grandal to save some money. All these top catchers are actually pretty good and among the more decent hitters on the slate. But I'll take Rutschman out of them personally.
Okay. Carty, catcher?
Yeah, I like getting up to Real Muto if you can because the Phillies are great. But Rutschman's good. Gary Sanchez is really cheap. I think he's great in tournaments. I think he's viable in cash. And I think, again, I really like a Cub stack against Suarez. So I think Contreras is back. So I think Contreras is really good in that stack or even just as a one-off.
Okay. First base.
Rhys Hoskins is the top guy. That's going to be kind of a common theme because the Phillies are easily the top team today. So like Hoskins is the guy that you're playing in cash, I think, on both sites. Alec Boehm is viable on DraftKings for cheaper, but he's also eligible at third, so you probably just play him at third. On FanDuel, Ryan Mountcastle at 2.8, I think is quite good. I think Jose Miranda at 2.4 is good. And certainly again, guys in your stacks, like if you're doing the leverage stack against Erod, like maybe you're playing Vinny P or you're playing Dozier or something like that.
Okay, Cheese.
Excuse me. It's pretty different between the sites. Like Hoskins on FanDuel it's goofy how cheap he is, and it's going to make him popular. I like Mountcastle a lot as well. Whereas on DK, you do have some need to save some salary somewhere. So I think Tristan, the house, Casas, Sucasas. I'm going to say that every time for the rest of the season, if not forever. 2,200 for a guy with power. I would rather, if you have to choose between spending up at first and spending up in the outfield, I'll do it in the outfield. Certainly in a cash game setting, if I had to choose between Casas and be able to get Schwarber and Harper, I would be fine with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Second base.
We can let Carty talk about second base. It's just pretty bad. I guess terrible. The problem, Don Segura, he's not one of the top 5 Phillies, so it's kind of hard to say you're supposed to play him. I think you can play Baez. The problem is the time to play Baez is against pitchers who throw strikes. Heasley, the reason I hate Heasley is he can't throw a strike. So he's going to throw a ball way out here and Baez is going to swing at it. So even that's not great. They're both terrible at what they try to do.
But the thing is, Heasley isn't going to blow anything by Baez either. Like, he is going to allow more contact.
Yeah, if he accidentally throws a strike, like,
yeah,
he can hit it. So on FanDuel at 2,700, I think you just play Baez. Like, the Arias is fine. The Red Sox guys are fine, but this is just a bunch of terrible, horrendous players. And then on DK, Baez isn't even available. And again, Segura is going to be the top guy, but he's not one of the top 5 Phillies. So I think that leaves the Red Sox guys as the most obvious plays. Otherwise, it's just something in your stack. Like, there's no reason to want to play any of these guys.
You know who else it's in play, because
tell the people want to hear it.
It's Rougned Odor.
Yes, Rudy. Yes.
He's so gross, but like on this slate, like you really can. Like, he's in Boston. He's 2-3 on DraftKings. It's terrible. So like, if you want to spend up for Kike or I guess Arroyo too, like, it's fine. But you can punt with Odor. You can punt with Scope. I do like Baez on FanDuel quite a bit. So yeah, that's second.
Okay, third base, Carty.
I think that we need to just take a moment to appreciate how excited the people are that Odor is in play.
Yeah.
It's always exciting.
Good times. So Rafael Devers is the top third baseman. He's kind of a tier by himself. I don't think you have to get up there, but you certainly can try to. I think it's easier to do on FanDuel than on DraftKings. If you're not getting up there, I mentioned him at first, but Alec Boehm is 3.9 on DK. So I like him quite a bit for the Phillies. Gunnar Henderson on the opposite side of the game from Devers is 3.8 on DraftKings. Also eligible at short. Maybe you think about playing him there instead, but third base after Devers does kind of thin out quickly. So like, I think Henderson is viable. I think Gio Urshela is viable. Hunter Dozier at 2.2, I think is fine. And then over on FanDuel, if you're not getting up to Devers, you have Boehm again. You have Patty the Tooth, who I like quite a bit in Chicago stacks and even just as a one-off in GPPs. You have Jose Miranda again, Urshela, all the cheap Minnesota guys. And Christian Arroyo is eligible here also and is really cheap.
Very good. Where are we at? Cheese on third? By the way, Patty the Tooth just still makes me laugh. It's just so good. It's a 10 out of 10er. Cheese, is it your turn for third here?
Yeah. It's pretty different between the sites, with like the price difference is big on both sites, but it's much harder to get Devers on DK. And again, like, if I have to choose between Schwarber and Harper or Devers, like, you can play all three, but I would choose the Phillies outfielders first and go down to Boehm or Henderson on DK. Same thing on FanDuel. I also think Patty the Tooth is in play, but Miranda for 2,400 is the one that kind of sticks out to me if I'm going for a cheap guy.
Okay, very nice. Take me to shortstop, Cheese.
So something I love on these weird little nonsense slates is when there's one hitter who's just clearly way overpriced. So that's Bobby Witt today. Like, we all love Bobby Witt. This guy's good, but like, it looks really wonky that he's $6,000 against, not a good pitcher, but one of the only good pitchers on this slate. Bogarts is a better play. Henderson, Correa, even Baez for the money, probably better plays. But this is just like the guy you can get that no one's going to play because he's overpriced. So right. I view it as a good thing that he's overpriced.
Yeah.
Definitely, Xander's the play if you're just building the cash game. Take the best guy, take Xander. I do like Gunnar Henderson pretty well also. On FanDuel, 3K for Correa is pretty useful. I don't mind splitting him up with Bogarts.
Very good. Carty, shortstop.
Yeah, I like Bogarts. I don't think you have to get there. You can. But I like Correa on FanDuel. I like Baez again on FanDuel. On DraftKings, Baez is only shortstop. So I like him quite a bit there. I like Correa there. I like Gunnar Henderson there. That's kind of it. Maybe Nico Horner in a Cub stack.
Okay, great. Take me to the outfield.
Harper and Schwarber are clearly the top two guys. They are high priorities, as we've kind of alluded to throughout this whole show. You want to get there in cash games on both sites for both of them, or else you're bad at playing DFS. Also, Brandon Marsh in the same outfield on DraftKings is 2.1K. So he is a really good way to save money. Not like a lock guy, but definitely a really good guy to save money and to consider. Some of the guys in the Baltimore-Boston game, Cedric Mullins in particular, Tommy Pham on FanDuel, Kike Hernandez, Christian Arroyo. Like, there's a lot of these multi-position guys, but these guys on one side or another, qualified outfield. Akil Baddoo is leading off for Detroit against Heasley. He's 2.7 on DraftKings, so I think he's a good way to save money. Hunter Dozier, we've mentioned before, as a way to save money. And yeah, that's kind of the deal. And then again, in your stacks, Ian Happ in your Cubs stack or like that kind of thing.
Very good. Cheese, close it out here.
So you've got to just consider what you're trying to do with ownership. Like Harper and Schwarber, so obviously the best plays. What I would recommend in like a smaller field, like a single entry tournament, especially you get to like a higher dollar single entry, these guys would be like 60, 70% owned. It's crazy. Like where I think I've got the bat ownership up showing 40%. That's like 40% in the large field stuff, where you can still get ahead of the field if you want to. I think that's reasonable. But when you get to the smaller field stuff, like the ownership on these couple of guys, it's going to be so silly. And, there is just enough of that wind that maybe the balls die on the warning track. Or even if they each hit one solo home run, it's not necessarily that you just had to have them no matter what. So very clearly the best plays. I agree. I don't usually give you if you're not playing them in cash, you're bad at DFS, but I will back that one up with these two guys today. But there is a case to fade them, I think, especially in like a single entry tournament where the ownership is just through the roof.
For sure. I mean, it's baseball. If you think they're going to be 60 or 70% owned, like I don't know. No,
it's pretty crazy how it happens in like $100 single entry and up. Like it's almost like cash game ownership sometimes. It's too much. So my favorite pivots are the Orioles. I think I would go Mullins and Anthony S. I'm going to call him Anthony S. because I cannot pronounce his last name correctly. I do like Brandon Marsh as a cheap Philly. Akil Baddoo as well. Excuse me, that Carty mentioned. Otherwise, it's all just kind of random in your stack stuff. There's no reason to particularly love anyone out here. Like you could do like the White Sox. I'm gonna be so happy when the season's over and we can stop talking about the White Sox. Like they're so bad, but like theoretically, these guys can still hit. So I don't mind playing like a Pollock and a Vaughn or something.
You've literally been saying that for 6 months.
Oh, it's ridiculous. Like it's crazy that this team could not manage to win that division in this season. Like it's embarrassing. Like how I still don't understand how they were not better than this.
Especially when you have such a great clubhouse manager. He's supposed to elevate guys, that's his whole thing.
Yeah.
Because he's a terrible manager. If you're not doing that, like how do you still have a job?
Yeah. Obviously worked. So anyway, yeah, obviously Schwarber and Harper, but if you're trying to be different, I'll take the Orioles guys.
Okay. We got 6 minutes here until lock. You want to give a home run pick? Cheese, you got a home run pick for me?
I guess to not just do the obvious guys, I'll go with Sal Perez.
Carty, you got a guy?
Give me Patty the Tooth.
Yes, that was going to be mine. So I'm just going to back that. I like it. Okay, let's take a few QQs before we get on out of here. There's not a whole lot going on. Here we go. This is official now, Carty. This is from Dean. Bucks Chiefs will officially be played on Sunday night in Tampa as scheduled.
Oh,
he says,
okay.
Poor Carty. Yeah. Well, all right. There you have it. There is some scheduling going on this weekend with, I think, the Nationals games.
Yeah, I saw they got delayed. They're doing some sort of split doubleheader or something.
Yeah, I don't exactly – I need to dig into it. But anyways, plenty of time to figure that out. First and most important question from DePrince. Who is Patty the Tooth?
That is a good question. Sometimes we just say that like everyone's supposed to know.
Yeah, it's Patrick Wisdom. It's like I think this was this Chop's nickname?
I think it was Chop, yeah.
Chop and I think Dean were going back and forth on Patty the Tooth versus Patty the Brain.
Yeah, the Brain versus Patty the Tooth. And, because it's wisdom teeth it's really good. I'm a big fan. Okay, let's get some of these QQs. Kurt says punt Harper or Schwarber if you had to choose. I don't understand the question. Does he mean?
I guess he means if you're not playing one, punt one
okay.
off your team.
Okay,
I mean, Harper's the better player. Like it's definitely Harper.
Okay, so punt Schwarber off, play Harper.
Yeah.
Okay. Sam McLeod. God, I love that name. Why can't my last name be McLeod? I'm just, every time I see it, I'm jealous. Large field GPP on FanDuel. Cheese. Wisdom and Contreras. Okay, it's a 3v3. Wisdom, Contreras, and Miranda, or Melendez, Witt, and Perez.
I mean, they both have upside, and they're both different. I like the Royals side better, so I'll go that way. I think Carty likes the Cubs side better. They're both like equally interesting upside.
Miranda's not on the Cubs though, right? Like I
right, it's 2-1
because you have the correlation. But if you swap Miranda for a Cub, I probably like that more, just by a little.
Yeah. Okay. Very good. DC Chavez with the name. I don't know if these are real people. I'm just going to say that right now. Jeez, what I'm about to say, I don't know if this is real. Badu Marsh or Matan Stowers.
Those are very real people.
Those are
we
real
both
people.
we both like Badu and Marsh. So yeah, that's your answer.
Oh, okay. I thought that was just one person.
Those are
I thought
two
it was like,
last names.
I see. Okay, I thought it was a first and last name, like Mr. Badu Marsh. But that
Matan Stowers probably could be a person.
Right. Okay. That makes more sense. I understand now. DC says thank you for that.
And I assume he means Mateo and not Matone.
Probably.
Because Mateo is batting next to Stowers for the Orioles. And Matone is also on the slate, though. That's what makes it weird, but he's on the field.
Oh, he probably does mean Matone.
Yeah, like it could be. I don't know which he means. If you're playing that side, I would correlate with Mateo and Stowers since they're next to each other, if positions worked. But either way, the answer is Badu and Marsh.
Great. Good job. 2 minutes until we hit the Carty. Who am I supposed to stack in NFL DFS this week? What's the stack?
I haven't looked closely enough to know like who the chalk stuff is going to be. So like,
gotcha.
I don't even know like what's going to be different yet, but I do know the Blitz loves Geno and the Seahawks. So I would imagine, I don't think they're going to be chalky at all. So that's probably going to wind up being my favorite.
Who are they playing?
They're in Detroit, in the Dome against the Lions. Like great game. Geno's good. So are Lockett and Metcalf. I'm a big fan.
Is everyone playing tonight? Like, is Tua playing tonight? Do we know all this stuff?
We don't know that yet.
Oh, I thought it was.
Oh, I didn't see it. I've been a little out of the loop this morning.
Don't trust me. I don't know.
As of yesterday, he was just questionable, and we weren't totally sure.
Yeah. All right.
Well, we have League of Legends World Championships tonight, so nobody cares about football.
Geez, I saw this tweet, and you actually had like some sort of slang that seemed cool and hip. I don't even know what it meant.
They have cool words in. So if Carty were allowed to have 2 name projection systems, it would be Carty's The Dragon Soul. That would be the projection system.
I like it. What does this mean? What is
Gank is like when you, I believe technically it's ambushing your opponent. It's like I don't really understand enough to know. I just know it's a word that people use and I think it's cool.
Well, that's like a hip hop thing too. Like get ganked. Like you get rolled, you get ganked.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know Carty's been working on it, so I think we're all excited.
Oh yeah, definitely in the works.
Just adding to the list of things that we need. Hey, we got one more question. I missed this one. It was Santander, Carty, Santander and Verdugo or Schwarber Hap.
I mean, it's going to depend on the format and the rest of your lineup. Like Schwarber Hap is going to project best in cash. You want to do that. I don't love Hap in cash. That's why I'm not sure. And in GPP, Schwarber is going to be so high owned. Like, I don't know. It depends on the rest of your lineup if you even want him. So you really need context for that.
Okay, that's fair. I feel like you answered his question regardless by giving those formats. Guys, we have hit the lock. And I just feel like as the season goes on, we're just getting stronger. This was just one of our finest yet. Excellent work as always. We're gonna get out of here though, so we can all like nap. Jeez, you're gonna get a nap in today.
Oh, I'm going straight for the bed. Yeah.
Yeah, I could tell. Today's a napping kind of day.
I'll tell you what, Milton loves it when I'm sick. I don't know if you know Milton the dog.
I didn't know.
When someone in the house is sick, it is like the greatest days of Milton's life because it's just like he naps all day anyway, but he loves to nap with someone.
Yeah.
So he thinks this is fantastic.
His extra cuddles. That's wonderful. Hey, before we go, there's something I have to say. Otherwise, hang on. Sorry, there's a promo rolling in my ear. I have to read this promo, otherwise I get fired, guys. So you gotta hang on. Okay. Hey, did you know you should sign up for the FanDuel Sportsbook if you're in a legal sports betting state? Take advantage of their fantastic bonus offer, the no sweat first bet, up to $1,000. No sweat first bet. Terms and conditions apply. It's glorious. Also, sign up for scoresandodds.com. It's smart people like us helping you not just do DFS, but we're helping you with sports betting. It's your RotoGrinders DFS posse and some helping you with sports betting. Scoresandodds.com. Make sure you check it out. With that, we are going to get on out of here. So for Cheese, for Carty, and for our wonderful production crew, always working hard behind the scenes, guys, we appreciate you. We love you. And we will catch you tomorrow. You have been crushed.